Phase me out, you buswhack.
Yes, it's true. I've bought an almost new Honda monkey bike. I've done a bit of riding on it. It's a 2022. It's absolutely brilliant. Please don't tell Compo because he will have a raging fit. The only problem with the bike is that with the standard exhaust, it's so quiet, and when you have the wind in your helmet, you can't actually sometimes hear what gear you're in. So I thought I'd fix this. So I spoke to a company called Yoshimura. So this is the sound of the standard exhaust. Amazingly, that took 5 minutes to get the old system off. Too easy. Hello and welcome to another episode of Pete and his Buses. Thank you all so much for buying the new t-shirt. For those of you that haven't seen it, we've got a new shirt. It's black, not white. A lot of you asked for a black one, so there you go. Go to the website, see the link, and get your own right now. Other than that, it is time for Lord Barrington himself and me to go and work on the bus that has been in a field for far too long. But before we get to that action, here is something completely different. So now a bit of Pete and his bus without his bus. I've come to pick up a very special car, and it happens to be in a very special place. This is Girardo Co. These guys deal in the best, the most authentic, and the most beautiful. Enjoy. So you might be wondering why I'm walking around this room with all these beautiful bits of machinery in it. Well, I did say I came to collect a car, and the reason for that is that a friend of mine who works very hard and has very little spare time asked me to help him find a nice E-Type. Now, they made many E-Types, and you could buy one for well over £250,000, one of the very early cars, fully restored, or you can spend sort of 40, 50 grand on a doer-upper Series 3 V12 2+2. So there is a big scope. But luckily, my friend was very precise with what it had to be. So the brief was this. It had to be a Series 1 Jaguar E-Type, the most desirable specification, and out of those he actually wants an early car with a 3.8 litre engine instead of the later 4.2. These cars come with a more elegant interior, and all the little details are just as original and authentic as you can get in the E-Type world. It doesn't have to be a really early car like a cat's bonnet car or a flat floor car. They make huge money, but it had to be somewhere in the 3.8 window. The next thing was, it had to be a genuine UK right-hand drive car. Lots of these went to the States, and they're now coming back, and people are swapping the steering wheels over. It's quite easy to do on an E-Type, but still, my friend wanted the real UK market deal. The other thing, it also had to be a roadster rather than a fixed head, so convertible, and he was quite sensitive to the colour. His idea of a nice colour was either silver or the dark silver over red interior, but really he wanted British Racing Green, or maybe a shade lighter, something in the green spectrum. And apart from that, of course, we wanted a car that was genuine, lots of paperwork to back up the history of it and to demonstrate that it is the real deal. You'll be surprised how many cars that are out there saying they are something and they're actually not. So I spent the next 2 months trawling the internet trying to find the car to match all these requirements, and as you can imagine, that is not very easy. I spoke to dozens of owners. I actually viewed 3 cars across the country, some really great, some not so great, but ultimately I was browsing an online auction site and I saw this car appear. The only problem was we only had a day and a half till the auction was finished, so I jumped in my car to go and view it as soon as I possibly could, got my friend to bid on the car that very evening, and lo and behold, he won the auction, and that's why I am now back in the room full of shiny, beautiful machinery to actually collect the car. On the 28th of November 1963, this 3.8 Series 1 Jaguar E-Type Roadster was sold to its first owner in London. On that day, it was painted in opalescent dark green, came with a beige interior and a fawn-coloured hood. Today, it retains its original body, chassis, engine and gearbox, plus it has more paperwork with it than all my other cars combined. Whilst mechanically completely sound, it is, however, an older restoration. So before my friend goes out and enjoys his new favourite toy, he's going to have it sympathetically restored so that it's absolutely on the button and ready for the road. So at this point I was going to make a film of me driving the E-Type looking all cool with the wind in my hair on a sunny day. Well, none of that happened. I actually shot myself in the foot because the day before I went to pick this car up, I happened to see online for sale a genuine Series 1 E-Type hardtop. Not only that, because they are so rare, but it was in the correct colour and it was trimmed with the correct colour interior. So the chances of that coming up right at the same point are so slim to none. I spoke to my friend and he said, yes, absolutely buy it. So it'll be a beautiful addition to what will be an absolutely gorgeous car. The only problem is, I didn't have enough time to get the fixing kit to put that hood on the car. So the hardtop went in the tow vehicle and the E-Type went on the trailer. And that is one car on one trailer. The car and I made the destination safely and I handed her over to the restorers. So it's goodbye for now. But I promise to bring her back on the channel when she's all done, so I need you all to simply watch this space.
What the fuck? Oh. Do you want to do it in the exhaust?
For those of you that saw the last episode of Pete and His Bus, you will know that I went to see RM843. It has been dubbed the Heathfield Routemaster because it has been stuck in a field near that town, well, for as long as I remember. I have a personal connection with this bus because I actually tried to buy it about 8 or 9 years ago and I failed. But it's actually because of you guys that this has happened, because I keep getting sent pictures of it saying, listen, there's this bus in the field, you're Pete and His Bus, you should rescue it. And I'm always like, no, no, no. But the last picture I saw, I realized that some vandal had smashed all the windows. And this means the rain and the water and the elements are getting inside. And at that point, the clock starts ticking. So I contacted them one more time and I said, I don't want to buy your bus, I don't want to steal it, I don't want to own it, I don't want to do anything with it, except for this. I'm going to invite my friend, who's really clever, and him and we are going to get it to drive out of that field under its own power. Little did we know what we were in for. Anyway, this is what happened. So what do you bring with you to rescue an old bus that's been sat in a field for a very long time? Well, I know that Lord Barrington will bring all the specialist bits, so I've just brought some basics like a tarpaulin, diesel, water, penetrating fluid, basic tools, spanners, sockets, etc., etc. We've looked at the weather forecast and it's not looking that clever, so I am also bringing waterproof trousers. So I head off to pick up Lord Barrington himself, and then it's straight to RM843. Last time I was here, I could not even open the bonnet. This time, I have brought a secret weapon. Lord Barrington has entered the building. Hey, there she is. Introducing Lord Barrington himself. He also sometimes goes by the name of Tim and/or Busway number 1. Tim and I have been friends for a long time. We met through buses. What this man does not know about Routemasters is not worth knowing. And on a personal note, Tim, I just want to say a massive thank you for helping me on this. There is no way I could have done it by myself. Let's get to the action.
Oh, hang on. I'm just desperate to see this engine. Oh. Peekaboo, my love.
To get anywhere with this engine, we're going to need decent access to it. And to do that, we need to remove the front grille and, believe it or not, the passenger side front wing on a Routemaster is actually quick release. And with those two objects out the way, we can get to the heart of this bus. You are looking at a 9.6 litre inline 6-cylinder diesel engine produced by AEC called an AV590. It produces around 115 brake horsepower at 1800 RPM and a mighty 430 foot-pound of torque. In this bus with this running gear, she's good for about 42.5 miles an hour and does about 10 to 12 to the gallon. 0 to 60 comes at, well, never. These engines are, however, extremely reliable and will do monstrous mileage provided they are looked after. So what do we know about this one? Very little is the answer. We do know that it was overhauled on the 26th of July in 1994 by ABB. I would have been 13 years old. However, there is one thing that is a bit worrying. That flywheel will not turn. Lord Barrington had already warned me before we even got to the bus that the only thing that was going to stop us getting this bus running and driving would be if the engine was completely seized. And the fact that that flywheel doesn't turn is not a great start. So what do we do?
I'm going to put some oil down them,
Okay.
down the balls, and I'll stick a load of GT85 down there with them.
Okay.
In the hope that with that concoction down there, it'll free them off. It'll be seized on the balls, not the bottom. So.
Okay.
The plan is simple. Remove the injectors, throw penetrating fluid down the bores into the cylinders, and this will hopefully free up the engine. Whilst Lord Barrington is lubing up the engine, he has asked me to climb into the clown sexton and remove the cover that allows us to get access to the back of the flywheel.
There is a lot of poo in here.
There is one problem though. Someone has built a TV unit on top of it.
God, it smells so bad in here. There's a lot of stuff flying about as well. Right, that is sadly in my mouth. Sadly, I need to get to that there. So that's going to take some doing. It's a bit freaky in here, so you'll have to excuse the light. But so I've had all that cupboard out, and all the original stuff is behind it, which is really, really good news. So they were almost a bit lazy when they were kitting this thing out. And I've just looked behind that blind and the original windows are actually there. So we're thinking on the sides, if we were to just remove the aluminium skin, all the original windows will be underneath. So that is a brilliant bit of news. I can see why Tim gave me this job. It's not particularly nice. There's a lot of things flying about in here. So yeah, we've got to get in there to get that flywheel turning. So these are loose, they're loose, this bottom one's loose. So the only thing I've got to do is I've got to destroy this really lovely bit of furniture. Right. Oh, that wasn't too difficult. Just really smelly. Oh, that's horrible. Okay, I have found a big nest. Right, if something is going to come running out, it's going to be now. There doesn't seem to be anything moving in there, but I'm quite wary that they might just. Let's have a look and see if I can. It's somehow stuck, even though
It probably is just stuck literally with the
stuck.
Yeah, it's probably just literally stuck. Yeah.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Oh, this is it.
Yeah, is that going to be in the way of? Oh no, you might. No, you'll get it.
Whoa! I just suddenly thought something was coming out there, but it's the wind.
Is that what, yeah, probably is actually, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the wind. All right, here we go. All right, we're out. Whoa! Nice. Access.
Excellent.
So there we go, one monstrous flywheel.
So with the lid coming off the flywheel trap and Tim having a cigarette in here, the smell has improved vastly. So the next problem is that the cab door on the other side to get into the cab is completely seized. So Tim's already, like a small monkey, climbing in over the engine. Actually, it's not even a small monkey, more like a large monkey. Yes! Hey!
So the cab is rather messy, as you can see, because these idiots have kicked the glass out. And so I'm going to start tidying this up a bit. Have a feel, see what you think. We're trying to free up the throttle. There's no, it's not bouncing back. There's lots of different linkages. So we're just trying to WD-40 more up and get the throttle working. Our next problem was to try and figure out what oil, if any, was inside the engine. Now, you'd think it would be one of the first things we check when we arrive, and it would be, but the problem with the AEC engine is it doesn't have a dipstick that lives inside the engine. It's a separate thing, and it just has a little flip cap, and of course, we couldn't find the dipstick. And also, we were 95% sure that it was probably missing. But after getting the cab open and cleaning and tidying that all up, we actually found it behind the driver's seat. So we were finally able to check the oil in the engine. And I'm telling you now, the result is not good. Nothing. Lord Barrington and I were completely baffled by this. The underneath of the engine looks a bit oily, like they all do. There's no signs of any major leaks anywhere. It's either been drained with the idea of filling it back up, or worse, maybe it's actually been driven around with no oil in it whatsoever. Oh dear God.
No, there's a lot in there, do you?
No. Our first course of action was to tighten everything back up and put 20 litres of fresh oil straight in it. And as you can imagine, none of this is helping the fact that we are desperately trying to turn this thing over. At long last, we get some good news. At this point, we still actually think the engine's completely seized, and the thought of giving up has crossed my mind. But after all the lubricating and jabbing away at that flywheel with this massive crowbar, we finally get some form of movement. And this means this thing might still just about run. She's definitely turning, but it's hard work still. The only problem is, with the crowbar on this side of the flywheel, we are turning the engine the wrong way round. And for the internals to get lubricated, we need to turn it the right way round. So the only way to do that is to get the crowbar on the other side of the flywheel. And for that, we have to turn it from the inside of the bus.
There's not a lot holding it in, is there? Really?
No. Yes, that's it. Alright. Cool.
Oh, f***ing hell.
Oh my God. Oh.
sadly, even though Lord Barrington is putting his full weight on that crowbar, the flywheel will not budge in the correct way. We've now been here for 5 or 6 hours. We're having to stop regularly to shelter from the appalling weather. It's been raining a lot. The temperature's dropping. It's turning into a bit of a nightmare. I was slowly sort of running out of ideas. Lord Barrington always has about 4 or 5 more ideas than I do, of course, ones that I don't even know about. But his next move is to try and see if we can engage the starter motor to sort of give us an oomph and help us turn that flywheel. Without turning that flywheel, we're not going anywhere, basically. So we were told that the starter motor was replaced at some stage, but it didn't work. Lord Barrington's had a look. The wiring is pretty dodgy. It was installed a bit sort of wonky. There was a lot of cable ties. So we've undone all that, and he's put it in there properly now. So I'm going to connect up the batteries and see what happens. Little linkage is still here.
Working.
Oh, there's light. So we've got power, do we, Tim?
I think so, because it's cleaning the windscreen of Treat, look.
That window
I'll tell you what, that window is so clean you'd think it wasn't there.
Okay, I say let's have a go. That be nothing.
But not surprisingly, nothing works because the water's been running through it all.
Right, let's get the wing and front back on.
Sadly, the starter switch has no effect whatsoever. It's now 7 o'clock in the evening, we're wet, tired and cold, so we decide to patch the bus back together, leave all those fluids in the engine to work their magic, and return at a later date. So there you go. It was a tough day, and it feels like we didn't really get anywhere, but actually we did, because we moved that flywheel. Even though it was only that much, we moved it, and that means there is hope for that engine yet. Lord Barrington and I have by no means given up. We've already put a date in the diary to go back, and you guys can all join us then. The next day I got a message from the owners, and they've reacted exactly like I hoped they would. They're all re-enthused about it, they're excited about it, they're looking to order bits to make it waterproof again and get that thing back on the road. So that's really lovely. In fact, my goal has already been achieved. But we're not going to stop until we get that thing to drive out of that field, so bear with us. A big thank you to the owners, a big thank you to Lord Barrington, you've been amazing, mate, thank you. And of course you guys for watching, and all of you for buying merchandise. You're helping the channel, you're supporting the channel, I really appreciate it. So for now, it is goodbye, and I'll see you next time on Pete and Several Buses.
What's that, Tim? What are you doing?
I'm just going to remove the no smoking sign, Pete. I don't think it's. We need it anymore.
Why is that?
Because it's now O King. I'm not a lord anymore. Look, I'm O King.